Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Hey, look, man. Y'all better have an open mind when it comes to Demtrius Andrade and him facing Canelo Alvarez. A couple of things that could happen. Now, the first thing is understanding Demtrius Andrade has to get through David Benavidez. And I'm going to tell you, people are split as far as who they think is going to win that fight. Even David Benavidez and his dad, they know what they're getting into with Demtrius Andrade, but it looks like they're expecting him to maybe get up on the scorecards early, make things a little bit uncomfortable early, and then probably by round 4 or 5 for the most part, they'll start to touch him up, get closer, and by round 8, KO him. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't know. But I think the longer the fight goes, I think the more that could play to David Benavidez. But at the same time, Andre, he just has this herky-jerky style, and he throws a lot of wide looping shots. He got hurt in his last fight at his debut at 168. It'll be interesting to see him if for some reason David Benavidez is able to, cut the ring off and start to basically corner him and start to batter him. It'll be interesting to see how that fight goes. I don't think I've ever seen Demtrius Andrade have the ring cut off and have him in a corner where he's now getting battered. He's always been a guy who controls the fight, controls the real estate, works behind his jab, throws that little sneaky left hand, and will, run around the ring if he has to reset and to make sure he has sufficient space so that he can work while in the ring. Now, if he can do that against David Benavidez, I don't know, but let's just say he beats David Benavidez, then, will Canelo give him that fight for Cinco de Mayo weekend in 2024? Because this is where you're going to see the secret society come to life. If Demtrius Andrade beats David Benavidez, all right, this is where the politics, secret society, and key decision makers behind the scene and all that crap, this is where you're going to see things start to happen. All of a sudden, maybe the WBC changes its mind on Canelo fighting the WBC mandatory. Because right now, that's the word on the street, right? Canelo faced David Benavidez, could lose that belt. There's also talks about him fighting the Dominican fighter, Adames, right? But if Andre beats Benavidez and all of a sudden now the WBC's like, Canelo can make a voluntary defense or he can do something else, that's going to just let you know that they're really looking out for their own interests. And the last thing they need is for a guy who calls himself Boo-Boo. They don't want a guy who calls himself Boo-Boo to come out there and beat Canelo, especially if he catches him with something that hurts Canelo. Lord have mercy, man. They're going to go crazy in Guadalajara. But that being said, Andre moved up to 168 from 160. And it's no surprise. You say he just can't make that weight anymore. I mean, understandably so. He's been fighting for a while, And even at 160, that's kind of like one of those weight divisions with no pulse. And, he was just a top fighter when he was there and just wasn't a lot of talent. And, people ducked him, man. People avoided him. And he had a couple opportunities to make a few fights, but that's not what he wanted. He didn't want to keep having lateral accomplishments. He wanted to move up the ladder. And so that's why he bubbled up to 168. He just felt there's more characters up there. And he knows at 168 he'll probably have guys who want to get in the ring with him. And that's what you can see so far. It's kind of worked to his benefit because now he's got a huge fight in front of him. A huge fight. And he feels that right now this is the best time for him. He's looking at his career being over there with Eddie Hearn and kind of doing things on his own. He made some pretty good money. For those of y'all who don't know, he was making a few million over there with Eddie Hearn. But, you know, he just wasn't a draw. He wasn't a tickets. He wasn't selling a lot of tickets. In his hometown, he did pretty good. But I personally think Eddie Hearn lost money on Demtrius Andrade. But that being said, Demtrius Andrade just need to find a way to shed some new light on his career. And I think his career, I think this is probably the brightest that it's been when you look at the opponent that he has in front of him. And this 168-pound weight division is one of those weight divisions that's powerful, just like 135, 140, 147, and the heavyweights. It's just a pretty powerful, interesting division. And if he wins, I mean, he could hit the jackpot and could somehow see Canelo giving him that fight. And Canelo already said that he's boring, he's this, but if he comes in there and he handles business with Benavidez, it doesn't matter what Canelo says. Canelo's going to be he already under pressure to fight Benavidez, but he's going to be under a whole lot of pressure. And then you're going to see if Canelo chooses to just drop his belts and duck that fight. And we're going to see him putting duck sauce on the fried rice. So we just got to wait and see. But as far as Andrade, you know, he's done a couple of interviews, but he talked about he wasn't really trying to sign with PBC before. But now when you look, he says, hey, there's just a situation, and he was just trying to do things on his own, you know. But he says right now, he said the zone gave him a great deal, and that's why he went over there. But he's over here just trying to make the biggest fights. When he did go to the zone, he was trying to fight Triple G, Canelo, Jaime Munguia, Billy Joe Saunders, and none of those fights came off. So now I mean, look, he went through a serious period of inactivity, man. But now that he feels like all that's over, he's trying to stay active, and he's trying to get up there and challenge all the guys at 168. And he's got the opportunity he's been looking for years. The opportunity for years. And he seems to be more comfortable with Al Heyman. With Eddie Hearn, kind of sounds like he has a sour taste in his mouth. He feels like Eddie Hearn was just making excuses and just using a final way to say that the network, that they tried to make the big fights for him, but, you know, he doesn't believe that. He feels that Eddie Hearn basically just wanted to sit him aside. And he knew when he had people getting in the ring with him, people would make decent money. But he just felt that, as far as his career, Eddie Hearn was just dangling a carrot in front of him. So it is what it is when it comes to Demtrius Andrade. He feels like his image was damaged a little bit as well. And he knows that with him trying to market himself, and already he couldn't afford to have his image damaged any further, because a lot of fighters already didn't want to fight him because they knew he was high risk. And then now you got somebody basically spinning it that he is not a ticket seller and he's not a guy who generates a whole lot of money. That just made it damn near impossible for anyone to want to work with him. But he says he's not worried about going tit for tat with Canelo. He wants to fight him, although Canelo, he felt, was very disrespectful towards him, where Canelo was just saying that, you know, he, in a nutshell, that he's just not a good boxer, you know. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on. 31-0. Matter of fact, let me show you this. 32-0, 19 knockouts. 60% KO ratio. About 6 feet, 6'1", 73-inch reach. Pretty impressive, man. You know, pretty impressive. So there's definitely something there, although people don't want to give him the credit. There's something there to Demtrius Andrade. You know, and we're going to see when he gets in that ring with David Benavidez. We're going to see if it shows up. We're going to see if it shows up, man. You know? But I'm hoping it does. Because for those of you who don't know who he is, look, this guy's an Olympian, man. He beat everybody leading up to the Olympics. And, you know, in the professional rankings, he's like, you know what? He just doesn't understand how he put his hands on all these people in the Olympics. But damn, they've gone on to do great things, but not me. And if you didn't know, he beat Sean Porter, he beat Daniel Jacobs, he beat Keith Thurman, he beat Austin Trout, he beat all of them, all those guys. But but those names that I mentioned to you, Sean Porter, Daniel Jacobs, Keith Thurman, Austin Trout, they've all gone on and had huge fights and made good money in boxing. And Demtrius Andrade, now that you understand what he was doing as an amateur, help you to understand why this man didn't get the opportunities as a professional, because fighters knew what he brought to the ring. And it's frustrating, but he gets a sense of redemption when he fights David Benavidez. And if he can get through David Benavidez, I think what we're going to see is Canelo be forced to make a choice to fight Demtrius Andrade or drop them belts, man. Drop that belt. But we're going to see. But boy, oh boy, you know, there's always so much going on in boxing, man. One day you're talking about Canelo and Terrence Crawford, then Canelo Adamez, Crawford Spence, Crawford Zoo. Now you got damn Andrade as a possible matchup for Canelo. But we just got to wait and see how it plays out. That being said, y'all keep cool. Don't sleep on Andrade. I understand how people can favor David Benavidez. But at the end of the day, we just have to wait and see what happens when they get in the ring. Because the best fighter doesn't necessarily win. It's the boxer who fights the best on that night. And with Demtrius Andrade, and when you take a look at this right here, I told you a whole lot about him and what he brings to the ring. And we're going to see what happens when he gets in there with David Benavidez. I think he's going to be more competitive than what people think. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.